Morning, good afternoon, good evening. This guy here has a lot of following, and for good reasons. Some of the things that he has brought up are really thought-provoking. In this particular video, he is addressing the issue of why Africans are sometimes criticized for bringing up the past. Let's just listen to what he has got to say.
Let's not blame anyone. Please stop that nonsense. When the Holocaust happened against the Jews, it was 1940s, 45. Not a single African country other than Ethiopia and those who had not been colonized was free. The first African country got independent 1957. There is not a single Jewish person who will allow you to forget the Holocaust. And in fact, there are crimes, not just in Israel, across the world against denial of the Holocaust. US foreign policy, Israeli foreign policy is very key. It's a central issue. Africans, for some reason, must forget something that happened 50 years ago, if you are Zimbabwe 80 years ago. Listen, we must always remind our friends from Europe and elsewhere that slavery was a crime against humanity, as is colonialism and neo-colonialism. That killing Sankara in 1984 because you are opposed to communism and plunging his country into chaos that you are now trying to solve as a problem of poor governance is a shared responsibility. So
I'd like to stop there. I totally agree with him. We should not be told we cannot refer to colonialism or slave trade and so forth. We should. Why not? It is part of the past. But what I wanted to come back to is what he talked about in passing, that we in Zimbabwe, we are being told we cannot talk about what happened 8 years ago. When Mnangagwa and his cronies staged a military coup in 2017, they rebranded Zanu PF, the Zanu PF dictatorship, as the Second Republic. And ever since, they have been adamant. They don't want to talk about the period when Mugabe was in power, the so-called First Republic, as if they had nothing to do with it. This is nonsense. Mnangagwa himself was at the heart of the Zanu PF dictatorship. Key events like the Gukurahundi, Mnangagwa was central to it. The 2008 electoral coup, he was the head of it. So here is the man who played a key role in creating Zanu PF, the Zanu PF dictatorship, imposing it and sustaining it for 34 years. When it's finally removed from office, he wants to wash his hands, Pontius Pilate style, and say he has nothing to do with it. That is nonsense. The whole drive now about this Vision 2030 is that he is going to revive Zimbabwe's economy that had been destroyed by the First Republic, as if he was not part of it. He does not want to be held to account for what happened during the First Republic, during Mugabe's time, as if he was not part of it. This is the kind of nonsense that we have got to reject. Mnangagwa is just as part of the Zanu PF dictatorship of Robert Mugabe as he is now the head of the Zanu PF dictatorship. The central lesson to have been learned from the Zanu PF dictatorship that had lasted 37 years, from 1980 to 2017, is that the system itself, the de facto one-party state, was what had constrained, stopped the people changing the regime. So when the coup, the 2017 military coup, offered to replace Mugabe with Mnangagwa, people should have seen immediately that this is nonsense. We are not changing anything here. The Zanu PF dictatorship is still intact. All we are changing is who is the new dictator. And a few around the old dictators, they go, and we replace the Mugabe with Mnangagwa. As long as the system itself has not been changed, we have not changed anything. Indeed, many people have argued that corruption, mismanagement under Robert Mugabe was better if compared to what we are seeing now under Mnangagwa. There's truth in that. Mugabe inherited the biblical 7 fat cows and 7 fat ears of corn. And therefore then he had plenty to keep his cronies happy. Mnangagwa, on the other hand, he inherited in 2017 a collapsed economy that was already on its knees. He didn't have anything to give away to keep his supporters happy. So he had to dig deep. The corruption that had started during Mugabe's time accelerated. Where else could he get the wealth to keep up the patronage system? So we shouldn't be surprised that corruption and mismanagement got worse. But I think the limiting factor is we accepted this conditioning that we should forget what happened 8 years ago and just concentrate on what Mnangagwa is doing, the Second Republic. So everything that is wrong is blamed to the First Republic. And anything that he has done is giving himself full credit for it. Although the rot that started during Mugabe's time has continued or got worse. The other second issue of this culture of limiting, don't talk about the past, is happening even today. Mnangagwa was able to blatantly rig the 2023 elections and got away with it because the MDC Triple C leaders had failed to implement even one token reform in 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU. That's point number one. Point number two, ever since the GNU debacle, they've participated in flawed elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, and knowing fully well that by participating, they were giving Zanu PF legitimacy. Chamisa conned millions of people in 2023 to participate in these flawed elections, telling them Triple C was going to win big because he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. The problem here is the minute you try to talk about it, that we are in this political mess because MDC Triple C leaders have sold out on reforms and they've been calling people to participate in flawed elections to perpetuate the dictatorship. You are labeled public enemy number one by the Chamisa Chete Brigade. While he's talking about colonial past, time of slavery, that Africans are not being allowed to talk about, I'm also talking about the here and now. What happened in 2023 is not a question of, okay, it's in the past, let's forget it. This is happening even now. As we are preparing for 2028 elections, it is clear that Chamisa and his friends are going to con people to participate in those flawed elections and give Zanu PF legitimacy. This has happened in the immediate past, it's happening now, and it's happening tomorrow. And we are not being allowed to talk about it. It's madness. Mnangagwa and his cronies created the Zanu PF dictatorship. Denying the people a meaningful say in the governance of the country for the last 45 years and counting. And in 2017, when we had another chance rather, to end the dictatorship, we were told, no, we can't talk about it because we are now in the new dispensation the Second Republic, and we must forget what happened in the First Republic. And yet, the rot of the First Republic was being carried on to the Second Republic. Zimbabwe will never change until we implement the democratic reforms designed to dismantle the de facto one-party state that has ruled the country the last 45 years. Well, the nation, the people of Zimbabwe have risked everything to elect the MDC CCC leaders with the primary purpose that they will implement the democratic reforms designed to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. After 25 years, it is clear that MDC CCC leaders are Zanu PF Team B in all but name, playing for Team A to win and for Team A to have political legitimacy. This has happened in the past. It is happening now, and until we address it, will happen tomorrow. Zimbabwe will remain a failed state until we implement the democratic reforms designed to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.